I salute you all from Kwaps Networks. Today, we are going to discuss Chapter 2 of the Introduction to Cybersecurity course. My name is Kwame Enimapia. I am a Cisco Certified Academy Instructor and Global Expert Instructor and a lecturer in Koforidua Technical University. Now, this course is being powered by Kwaps Networks Training Academy, Ghana. You can find us on www.kntagh.org and on our social media bundle, Facebook at Kwaps Networks. The objectives of this course is to analyze a cyber attack. We are going to explain the characteristics and operations of a cyber attack. We're going to explain how security vulnerability is exploited. We're going to identify examples of security vulnerabilities. We're also going to describe types of malware and their symptoms. We're also going to describe methods of infiltration and then describe methods used to deny service. Then we're going to exploit the cybersecurity landscape by explaining trends in the cybersecurity landscape. And one of them is to describe a blended attack and also to describe the importance of impact reduction. Analyzing cyber attack. And under it, we have security vulnerabilities and exploits. How do we find security vulnerability? An exploit is the term used to describe a program written to take advantage of a known vulnerability. An attack is also the act of using an exploit against a vulnerability. Software vulnerability. These are errors in an operating system or an application code. The signful knock is a vulnerability in the Cisco Internetwork operating system, and it allows attackers to gain control of the routers. It also monitors network communication and also infect other network devices. The Project Zero is also a Google-formed permanent team dedicated in finding software vulnerabilities. Now, when we look at hardware vulnerability, these are hardware design flaws. So, Rowhammer is a RAM memory exploit that allows data to be retrieved from nearby address memory cells. Now, how do we categorize security vulnerabilities? 1. Buffer flow or buffer overflow. Now, this is data written beyond the limits of a buffer. Non-validated inputs. These force programs to behave in an unintended way. And then we also have the race conditions. And these are improperly ordered or timed events. Weaknesses in security practices. 1. Protect sensitive data through authentication, authorization, and encryption. Access control problems. Access control to physical equipment and resources. And then security practices. We want to look at some types of malware. Malware is simply used to steal data, bypass access control, cause harm to or compromise a system. What are some of the types of malware? We have the spyware that track the spy on the user, or track and spy on the user. We also have the adware, which deliver advertisements, and these usually come with spyware. We also have the bots. These automatically perform action. We have the ransomware that hold a computer system or data captive until payment is made. And then we have the scareware that persuades the user to take a specific action based on fear. We also have the Rootkit. Now the Rootkit modifies the operating system to create a backdoor. We have the virus, which are malicious executable code that is attached to the other executable files. The Trojan horse also carries out malicious operations under the guise of a desired operation. We also have worm that replicates themselves by independently exploiting vulnerability in networks. We also have man in the middle or man in the mobile attack, and these take control over a device without the user's knowledge. Symptoms of malware. 1. There is an increase in CPU usage. 2. There is a decrease in the computer speed. 3. The computer freezes and crashes often. 4. There is a decrease in web browsing speed. 5. There is an unexplainable problem with the network connections. 6. Files are modified. 7. Files are deleted. 8. There is the presence of unknown files, programs, or desktop icons. 9. There are unknown processes running. 10. Programs are turning off or reconfiguring themselves. And email is being sent without the user's knowledge or consent. Methods of infiltration. We want to look at how the methods these attackers use. And the first one is social engineering. Social engineering is just the manipulation of the individual in performing an action or divulging confidential information. And under social engineering, we have pretexting, we have tailgating, and then we also have something for something, which we call the quid pro quo. Now, the pretexting here, an attacker calls the individual and lies to them in an attempt to gain access to privileged data. So, in a part of the world, you realize how sometimes, with respect to our mobile money issues, the attacker will just call you, lie to you in an attempt to gain your mobile money PIN or find a way of tricking you to provide an information for them to use. And then we have what we call tailgating. An attacker quickly follows an authorized person into a secure location. And then we also have what we call the quid pro quo, something for something. Here, an attacker requests personal information from a party in exchange for something. We also have the Wi-Fi password cracking. Or password discovery. And this can be done through social engineering. Here, the attacker manipulates a person who knows the password into providing it. We also have what we call the brute force attacks. The attacker tries several possible passwords in an attempt to guess the password. And then we have the network sniffing. The password may be discovered by listening and capturing packets sent over the internet or the network. Other methods of infiltration are phishing. Now, phishing has to do when malicious party sends a fraudulent email disguised as being from a legitimate trusted source. Now, they trick the recipient into installing malware and their device or on their device or sharing personal or financial information. So sometimes you have not you have not engaged in any lottery, but somebody sends you a mail that you have won a lottery, and these are all malicious parties who are sending emails from disguised corners as if they are legitimate, and they will find ways of socially engineer you to their whims and caprices. We also have what we call the spear phishing, and this is a highly targeted phishing attack. Another form of infiltration is the vulnerability exploitation. Now here is the scanning to find vulnerability to exploit. Number one, step one, gather information about the target system using port scanner or social engineering. Step two, determine learned information about step one. And then step three, look for vulnerability and use a known exploit to write a new exploit. Under the vulnerability exploit, we also have advanced persistence threats. It's a multi-phase, long-term, stealthy, and advanced operations against a special target. It is usually well-funded and it is deployed customized malware. Denial of service is a disruption of network service. Under it, we have overwhelming quality or quantity of traffic. A network host or application is sent an enormous quantity of data at a rate which it cannot handle. And then we also have maliciously formatted packets. Now, this packet is sent to a host or application, and the receiver is unable to handle it. So when you look at this diagram, the user here is requesting from a service through internet, and then he says that this website is very slow today. Now, this particular server can't accomplish any work, and then someone also here says that I will send so many pings that the server can't respond to anyone else. So this is the denial of service attacker. He's sending denial of service, or sending a quantity of what? Data to overwhelm this server, so that this user can't also have access to the server. And that's denial of service attack. The DDoS is similar to the denial of service from multiple, it's also from multiple coordinated sources. We also have the botnet, a network infected hosts. Botnet is a network of infected hosts. And then we also have the zombie, which are infected hosts. Now, the zombies are controlled by handler systems, and then the zombies continue to infect more hosts, creating more zombies. So this server here is overloaded with too much traffic. Now the DDoS code is activated by this user, who's the attacker. And here, this attacker is also has an activated DDoS code. Sorry, the DDoS attacker sends multiple DDoS code and is activated for the users, and the server becomes overloaded. Now, we have what we call the search engine optimization, which is also a denial of service. Now, there are techniques to improve a website's ranking by a search engine. So the search engine optimization poisoning increase traffic to malicious websites and then force malicious sites to rank higher. We want to look at the cybersecurity landscape. The first thing to look at is the blended attack. What is a blended attack? Now, this uses techniques to compromise a target. It uses a hybrid of worms, trojans, spyware, keyloggers, spam, and phishing schemes. Some common blended attacks are spam email messages, instant messages or legitimate websites to distribute links, DDoS combined with phishing emails. And examples are the NIMTDA, the Code Red, the Bugbear, the Clear Slammer, the Zeus Licat, and then Conflicker. What is impact reduction? It's how to communicate the issue. It's how to be sincere and accountable. It's how to provide details. How to understand the cause of the breach. And how to take steps to avoid another similar breach in the future. And also how to ensure all systems are clean. And then lastly, how to educate employees, partners, and customers. So in this chapter, we have learned to identify examples of cybersecurity vulnerabilities. We have also explained how a security vulnerability is exploited. We have also described types of malware and their symptoms, methods of infiltration, methods used to deny service, and then we have also described the blended attack and the importance of impact reduction. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for our next lecture.